Here's some Las Vegas breaking news that hasn't made the news yet. MGM Resorts just told all of their concierge employees across all of their properties, with the exception of Aria and Bellagio, that they are being laid off. This is a couple weeks after laying off the valet, doorman, and bellman at Excalibur and announcing the closure of the Luxor Buffet. We know that travel and tourism is down. Aside from global issues and the Canadians boycotting us, many Americans fear that we are headed for a recession and they are tightening up their spending. But what's going on at MGM feels a little bit bigger than that. Multiple executives in recent months have resigned or are rumored to be considering resignation, with small downsizings and rumors of more occurring at multiple properties. This is after raising resort fees and parking fees twice in 2024. Fees keep going up and amenities are being scaled back. It feels like everyone's trying to be tight-lipped about this, but I think we need to talk about it. Are more layoffs coming? Is this a sign of the times? Let me know what you think and follow me for all the Vegas.
Breaking news. UPS lays off 20,000 workers, blames tariffs and economic strain. In a major blow to the American workforce, UPS has announced the layoff of 20,000 employees, citing rising operational costs triggered by mounting tariffs and global economic pressures. The logistics giant pointed to increased costs from U.S. import tariffs and retaliatory trade measures from China and Europe as key drivers behind the mass layoffs. Tariff-related expenses have skyrocketed, a senior UPS executive stated, forcing us to restructure in order to stay financially viable. Industry analysts say the layoffs highlight how trade wars and protectionist policies are now directly hitting American jobs. UPS, heavily reliant on international shipping and supply chains, is among the first major companies to publicly tie layoffs to tariff-related losses. Labor advocates are blasting the move as avoidable damage caused by reckless trade policies, warning this could be just the beginning as more companies feel the squeeze. Story development.
But I want to be straight with you. My proposed budget, unfortunately, includes layoffs, which is a decision of absolute last resort. The city attorney and I will be in Sacramento this week to meet with legislative leaders and advocate for resources, while also working to manage the increasing liabilities. So let me assure our hardworking public servants that I will never, ever stop fighting.
I think people should know this. Hospitals nationwide are letting go of people left and right. Something is seriously wrong, and not many people are talking about it. So we have a new budget plan, and it just might have some healthcare cuts. I mean, I don't think there'd be this many hospitals laying off this many people if they didn't see this coming. And I'm serious, just Google hospital layoffs, and you will see nothing but mass layoffs nationwide, everywhere. It just keeps going. Now, this courageous healthcare worker at the top here posted a video because she works in Delaware County, and they're letting everybody go at the hospital. And it's happening to all the hospitals around her hospital. And you should see people's comments. She went on to say, I'm a respiratory therapist working my last shift tonight at Taylor. We had a 3-day notice that we were losing our jobs for profit private equity firms. They have no place in healthcare. Another person said the closures are the result of actions by private equity firms. They accumulated substantial debt and diverted funds to dividends to pay investors. Basically, they took the money and filed bankruptcy. This is our healthcare system, people. So either these cuts are coming and they know it, and these equity firms are getting out now and running with the money, or something is massively up because there are layoffs nationwide. Every state. We could have a serious, serious problem here.
2 Ezra 8:50, for many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakodash. That's all praises to the Heavenly Father, through the name of the only begotten Son, through the Holy Spirit. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone for teaching us the 100% truth according to the Bible and who rule well. Shalom to all you Akim, you Akwat, those are the hopeful elect that are seeking for salvation. Great miseries are taking place throughout the planet Earth. And here in America, massive layoffs are taking place. And just about every industry, or if not every industry, is making cuts. People are getting fired and laid off left and right, from hospitals. And you saw the video clip. Hospital workers are getting laid off. UPS workers are being fired. You saw I don't know if you all remember, but in 2024, there was a massive layoff of, IT workers. And that continues to take place in 2025 as well. Fed workers are being cut or fired and laid off. And you have people taking on multiple roles in jobs due to tight budgets, okay, budget cuts that are taking place. And this is truly the times of great miseries, as we just opened up with, or I opened up with 2nd Ezra 8:50. For many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world. When you go into the word miseries, it says a state or feeling of great distress or discomfort of mind or body, unhappiness, affliction. That's why a lot of these people are on drugs. They're on drugs. They're alcoholics. They're losing their minds. They're crashing out. Divorce rates are high. People are deleting each other for small disagreements because they're realizing, well, first of all, they're unhappy and they're realizing that their dreams and hopes are going down the drain. And thank the Lord, man, for these things happening in these times, because it's a beautiful thing that the Lord is pulling the plug on this place. You know, the scriptures say they shall wear out the saints. We're worn the hell out, man. Us Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans, which are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. We have been busting our asses for years, man. So as the Lord pulls the plug on this place, you know, we got to be rooted in our faith. Okay. But reading on, it says, 2nd Ezra 8:50, it says, because they have walked in great pride. So these miseries are consuming those who have been full of themselves, arrogant, haughty, right? Not a ounce of humility within them. People looking down on others, Edomites, the so-called white people, even the average Edomite, you know, walking around like their shit don't stink, you know, and our own people looking down on other Israelites because they're not at a certain status. People bragging about the jobs they had, the school they graduated from, the neighborhood they live in, how much money they make, etc. All of these people are being humbled. And yes, we're catching hell. We're going through our sufferings, those of us who are in this truth. But we have the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to keep us stable. And we understand that this is all temporary as the Lord, you know, stripped this man's kingdom. And one more time, I'm going to read this, 2nd Ezra 8:50. For many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time. And that's the point I want to hit too, is that we know that there's an end to this place. We're in the latter time of this man's rulership. The elites, or it's like the Edomites, the so-called white people, are ruling. And the Lord is taking their kingdom. You know, which I'll close out on 2nd Ezra 6 and 9. You know, we're looking at the end of an age, the end of a rulership taking place. So we're in that latter time of this man's reign, his kingdom. Okay, it says, shall dwell in the world because they have walked in great pride. Now, as the scriptures say, Proverbs 16:18, I was reading this earlier. It says, pride goeth before destruction, and haughty spirit before a fall. All right. So a prideful person, you know, you see him at the top 1 minute and then boom, humbled, humiliated, put to shame in the next moment. And there's nothing for the Lord to strip someone, you know, of their status. So that's what you see happening. The average people in America who have been full of vain and, you know, self-arrogance, especially in these last days. The scripture said in the last days, there shall be many lovers of themselves. They're all being humbled right before this place gets taken out. Because as this world goes down, the people who put their trust in it is going down with it. All right. Verse 19 says, better it is to be of an humble spirit with the lowly than to divide a spoil with the proud. So it's better to be humble. And we're seeing what humble does for those of us who believe in Yahweh Shem Yahushai, having a humble spirit, fearing the Lord, submitting to the ways of righteousness is what's going to carry us through. Because yes, we're going through our, you know, trials and tribulations, our sufferings, but we're suffering for righteousness' sake. These people are catching hell for a world that's full of letdowns. And these other nations, Deuteronomy 30:7, these other nations are catching hell. The ringleader, Esau, who's ruling, he's out shaking his cup for change, begging for money on the corner. You pull up to the stoplight, this nigga's grilling you, hoping you make eye contact with him so he can ask you for some money. Which goes to show you that these heathens, all right, these other nations, they're catching hell. The curses are on them now. Deuteronomy 30:7 says, "And the Lord thy power will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted us," or persecuted thee, meaning us. So these other nations, they hiss and clap. They enjoyed us being at the bottom. They enslaved us. They all played a part in enslaving us. Yes, Esau was the ringleader. Now they're catching hell. Now they're at odds with the man is at odds with his wife. The Edomite woman lusts and lusts after Jake, the Israelite man. In the meantime, having this hatred towards her own, family, her own husband. Okay, and Esau, struggling to make ends meet, having to scrape nickels up to pay their bills. Got to sell the 3,000 square foot home to move into a tiny home. They're out homeless, begging for money, as I mentioned earlier. All these curses that we experience, they're going through. And it's beautiful to see this. So, yes, even though, we are also suffering and got brothers that may get laid off or fired, the Lord's going to make a way for us. That's the difference. As King David said, let me bring this out. One of my favorite scriptures. I should be able to remember it, right? Psalm 37:25 says, "I have been young and now am old, yet have I not seen the righteous forsaken." Who are the righteous? The righteous are the hopeful elect, those who are fearing the Lord. You had never seen the righteous abandoned. And the Lord always, really showcase his power, and he comes in at the nick of the time, right at the right moment when we're at our lowest point. And that's a part of the trials and tribulations. We're going to go through, our trials. The scriptures say, "Through much tribulation shall we enter into the kingdom of heaven," but we're not going to be forsaken. The Lord is always in our presence, man. There's scripture say angels are around those who fear him. And that's roughly paraphrasing there. But it says, "I have not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread." So you're not going to see the hopeful elect going without. We're going to have the things we need, especially as, the Lord shuts this economy down. This societal collapse is at the brink. Bracing ourselves for Jacob's trouble. They're saying that there's reports of, there are not any goods or products showing up at the ports, some of the ports. I got to look into that. Don't want to speak on it too much right now. But we all know this is all a recipe for disaster, as we are getting ready to enter in Jacob's trouble. Okay. So, but the elect, global and part of that number, is going to eat, is going to be protected through these ups and downs. Okay. Through these trials and tribulations, man. Okay. Last but not least, I'm going to bring two more scriptures and I'll close out. Ecclesiastes 12:3 says, "In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble," the watchers, seeing the trend of the economy and how bad the numbers look, the graphs, the charts, all these indicators pointing to a failing economy. A lot of these economists are moving out of the country. One that comes to mind, I believe his name is Chris Green. He lives in, I believe, Switzerland. And these cats are moving out of the country because they see that America is getting ready to collapse. And when it collapses, it's going to be bad here. People are going to lose their minds. They're already crashing out, and things haven't gotten nearly as bad as it's about to get. Okay, but these keepers see that the economy is is horrible. The numbers are bad. It says, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few. The work is few. Budget cuts, layoffs, massive layoffs. UPS is firing. You know, it was a song back in the 90s. I believe Craig Mack, he made it. One of his lines was, don't be mad, UPS is hiring, right? Because UPS is one of those companies that was known to always be hiring. Not anymore. Now they're firing. Okay, and the rest of these other companies that was well known to have always be hiring, even the feds, working for the federal government, you were sure to be retiring there. You weren't going to get fired or laid off. People have done 30 plus years and not having to worry about getting fired from a federal job. Now they're making massive cuts. Okay, so the grinding, the work is ceased, it's stopping, coming to a halt, coming to an end as his kingdom goes down. It says, because they are few and those that look out the windows be darkened. Now, the big picture of everything is that we're looking at a transition of kingdoms. So we cheer on Donald Trump destroying this economy and making all the right decisions to destroy this man's kingdom. We're excited about these things. You know, the Lord is destroying this place and using Trump as a spearhead to do it. And we're very thankful. The big picture is that this man's kingdom is going down. We're seeing the end of this man's reign. So we're cheering Donald Trump on. Keep destroying this place. Fire more people. Piss more people off. 2 Ezra 6:9 says, for Esau is the end of the world. Esau represents a nation. Esau is the progenitor, the forefather of the Edomites, which are the so-called white people. So this is the end of his kingdom that we're seeing and we're witnessing. And the scriptures say one of the best experiences to go through is to see your enemy go down. That's what we're seeing. It says, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Who is Jacob? Jacob is the forefather of the Israelites, which are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans. The world doesn't think that we're about to rule next. We're the underdogs. And it's going to surprise a lot of these people. But we have faith to believe these things. Okay, these prophecies, those of us are the hopeful elect. So we're coming up. We're rising to the top, man. In order for us to rise to the top, this place must be destroyed. And yes, we're going to be in the midst of it. Yes, we're going to be affected by it. But this is the part of the process to get to the kingdom. Okay, so just want to go into, recent news of the great massive layoffs that are taking place across the board. Hospitals are laying off and firing people. IT industry is going down the shitter. Federal workers being laid off and fired. Okay, but this is a part of the process for Esau's kingdom to go down. Lord willing, you edified. All praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Shalom.